Comics have been evolving all throughout history. Thousands of years before speech bubbles were a thing, there were speech scrolls used in religious art. Before panels were invented, artists made sequential paintings and engravings. In 14th century Japan, they made woodblock prints of farting competitions. It wasn't until the late 19th century that people caught on to how powerful comics can be as a standalone medium. And it wasn't until after World War II that the modern long-form graphic novels and manga that we enjoy today were truly solidified. And now, in the digital age, comics are at their most exciting time yet. You don't need a publisher, you don't need to print anything. Anyone, anywhere can share their stories with the entire world for free. And what have we done with this amazing opportunity? What the fuck? From an artistic perspective, the invention of the Webtoon format is the single biggest downgrade to the comic book of its entire history. It's like you took a manga chapter and you cut and pasted all the panels into a vertical line and then you printed it out on a giant strip of toilet paper. Oh, what's that? Panel composition? You wanted a 2-page spread for a climactic moment? Oh yeah, we got rid of the pages. But instead you can put an ugly lens flare effect on every drawing. Somehow, despite no longer having physical constraints, webtoons have made comics even more limited than they were on paper. Let me explain. Way back in the early days, when most comics were just newspaper decorations, they were limited to a few uniform panels. That's all the artist had to work with. They started out really cool, but over the years, publishing companies got stricter and comic strips got smaller and less diverse. Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes, which is universally recognized as one of the greatest comic strips ever, had to fight tooth and nail just to be able to draw his Sunday comics with different panel sizes. And the effect is insane. The static, droning panels were replaced by abstract collages that are so much more entertaining to read and appreciate. And you can see the same trend in dedicated comic magazines. When American superhero comics gained popularity, artists were able to tell longer stories than the maximum one-page newspaper strips they were stuck with before. But they still only had around 20 pages per month. There was no breathing room. Every page, every frame, every speech bubble had to immediately progress the plot in some significant way. Compare this to the contemporary manga magazine, where each artist has 20 to 30 pages per week. There's room to experiment, to really give characters time to interact and build up a world. And again, a huge part of that creative freedom comes directly from their open, unrestricted layout. Each page becomes its own individual artwork, and the paneling is the tool in which the story's pacing is throttled. Check out Stranger by the Shore. Panels fall out of alignment and crowd over one another, yet your eyes never lose track of where to read next as they follow the flow of the speech bubbles, which often pop out of the panels to maintain that momentum. Sometimes you can see the details behind the speech bubble, which makes it feel like a physical object. The pages stop feeling like collections of single images and more like a continuous whole. Look at this page where Mio loses his hat. The panels are all overlapping, and their positions on the page actually trace the arc of the hat as it flies through the air. Kikana didn't have to draw the panel borders here at all. It would have still read just fine as one big image, but they're still here as an artistic choice, a mere suggestion of panels to subtly frame the hat into different shots. And this is my problem with the webtoon format. That spaciousness, that liberty is gone, and instead, all the panels have to be crammed down a single claustrophobic gutter. These poor webtoon artists try to innovate too. They offset the panels, they fill up the ugly blank spaces with speech bubbles, and sometimes they have these super duper long panels for more detailed shots. They really push the boundaries as far as they can, and over time it's become an entirely new thing, with its own visual language and conventions, but it just never comes close to the experience of reading an actual book. Plus, when all you can do is scroll down, it's hard to enjoy the art. Have you ever watched someone read a webtoon? They don't even fucking look at it, they just blitz through at 90 miles an hour. At that point, why even bother making it a comic? It's just a slideshow. Now, let's be clear. Manga are also read through in a matter of minutes, and part of this just comes with the territory. Without the temporal constraint of a pre-recorded video, your consumption is solely limited by how fast you read. And it's not like you read manga any slower than webtoons, but the format of a manga forces you to stay and absorb the art for longer. Your eyes are carefully guided up, down, and across each page. Differing panel sizes can emphasize or downplay moments and maintain a steady pace that never feels like it's dragging on. It's so much busier and livelier without the 10-mile-long blank spaces that webtoon artists are forced to include to control their pacing. I think the only leg up webtoons have on manga is their inclusion of color, and when it's good, it's amazing. Color adds an entirely new dimension to art. But it's not like this is some revolutionary technology. There have been color comics forever. Manga is black and white because it's faster to make and cheaper to print, but literally all digital comics can be in color, not just webtoons. And quite frankly, 90% of webtoons don't even utilize color in any cool way. They just add a glow effect to everything like it's the definition of badass. comics. And so you start to wonder, why exactly are webcomics like this? Can't we just have digital comic books so it's like the best of both worlds?
What are you, stupid? How are you supposed to read that on your phone? Everyone knows that designing things solely for smartphone consumption makes them better in every single way. Just look at video content. I love it when the sides of the screen are cropped out, it's so cinematic. And plus, instead of choosing what to watch next, I can just let the algorithm do it for me. Awesome, dude!
Listen, I want to clarify here that it's not webtoons in themselves that I hate. As an aspiring comic artist myself, I am very grateful for them. They're keeping comics alive and relevant and bringing all sorts of new fans in. It's great having a centralized platform for artists around the world to make comics that's so accessible and removes barriers to entry. There are plenty of amazing, beautiful webtoons out there, for real. I'm not trying to discourage any aspiring webtoon artists either. Like, follow your dreams, seriously. For the most part, they really do keep the spirit of comics alive. I really just hate seeing such a beautiful storytelling medium forced to conform itself to the hyper-convenience of a phone. Like, there are exactly 0 webtoons that wouldn't be more enjoyable formatted for a book. I have to say it, this shit is DD mega doo-doo. I'm sorry.